You're listening to the 49 Carats podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats podcast. I am your host, Steph, and today I'm joined by a very, very special guest. Very excited to have him on today. Former 49ers safety and current Chicago Bear safety, Adrian Colbert. Adrian, how are you doing today? Did the holidays treat you well this year?
Holidays treated me awesome. I got to spend it with my son. It's his first Christmas, and it was amazing. It was a
That's awesome.
surprise. But first of all, I just want to thank you for having me on your show. Shout out to the faithful always. Got love for y'all. It ain't gonna ever change, no matter what team I'm on or what jersey on my back.
I love that, man. Well, let me just ask you about that really quickly, because I feel like there's a lot of players who pass through like the 49ers. They have some time with the 49ers, and it seems like they just have like a connection with the fandom, the faithful, years later after their time with the 49ers. What do you think that's about? Like, what is it about the faithful that, keeps you coming back?
For me personally, obviously when I was on a team, like my first role was a special teams player. So like I wasn't like making big plays, like noticeable plays that people could get hype about, and all the excitement around like being like a high draft pick, or I didn't have a lot of things backing me like that people could like be super supportive of. But the faithful, just like they came in full fledged, like showing love on Instagram, showing love on Twitter, DMs, all that, just showing their support. And like throughout my time and my growth as a special teams player and then eventually a starter, like the fans just stayed showing love. Like they remain solid, and I still got some faithful that I talk to weekly, and
That's
it's
awesome.
crazy. So just like that family relationship that they kind of manifested. It just made me love the faithful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think also like a part of it, you came in a very interesting time for this team, and of course for fans as well, which was the 2017 season. You were the final pick of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch's very first draft for the 49ers. So like, what was it like at that time, knowing that you were entering a team with a complete rebuild, but also knowing that you're probably in good hands, because Kyle Shanahan at the time was seen as, one of the best head coaching candidates that offseason. So what was that like for you?
Like it was incredible, not only just because of obviously Kyle and John coming in to kind of rebuild the organization. And I mean, obviously people know the 49ers is one of the greatest dynasties in the NFL. I mean, along with the Patriots and a couple other teams. But like the 49ers is like that was crazy. It's like, oh shit, the 49ers, bro, this is gonna be lit. And I mean, me being drafted in anyways was kind of mind blowing to me, because I only had a couple of games under my belt that I actually got to play in, and I didn't really have that much film going into the draft. So it was a surprise to me, and it was just a super, I don't know, it was a dream come true, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I imagine. I can't even imagine what that's like. But, and like I kind of think like the first year of most regimes and like coach GM regimes are kind of shaky. I think for the most part, but because you're still trying to figure things out, and there's some things you're doing for the first time, and so was any of that obvious to you guys as players, that like, okay, like this is Kyle and John's first rodeo here? And, was it obvious at times, or did they just take complete control from day one?
No, I mean, with them, it was more like the players. Like, this is gonna be like a players like run team. Like, it was all about the culture, the community, and like what we wanted to build, how we wanted it to look like as players. And they gave us those type. They gave us that type of power within the building. And it was never like, it never felt like work in the building. Like, it was always like we're going there to have fun, but we're going there to play football and try to help build a championship team.
That's awesome. I mean, I love that, because I mean, we see the culture even still, right? And how that's kind of blossomed into what it is today. Um in that 2017 season, you guys finished 6-10, right? So, which is not bad at all, all things considered, I think. But what really felt like a turning point in that season was when the 49ers traded for Jimmy Garoppolo, right? So, what impact did that trade have on you guys in the locker room? Like, what was it about Jimmy that made him so easy to rally behind?
I mean, for me, because when he came in, I want to say it was the week before we were playing the Cardinals. And he was the number 2 quarterback, so he was throwing to the starters. Like this is like one of my weeks where I was getting like actual first team reps on defense, and I was just watching him throw the ball, and I was just like, wow, like this guy can really throw the ball. Like he had threw. I still remember we're in cover 3, and he threw a deep 9 ball literally on the side. I can see it today. Like, and I was generally well coming out of the post to break on 9 balls, but he had threw a 9 ball on the sideline to Aldrich, and there was no way I was getting to it because it was literally on the edge of the ticks of the sideline, and he dropped it right in the bucket, and I was just like, wow. I walked up to him after the play, and I was just like, yo, you that guy. and like and then when he started playing, you just kind of see it, and you just kind of seen it. It's just like him stepping up and being that QB that you wanted in a franchise, and that's where that nickname came from.
Right. It's like when you have a guy, like, you just know right away, right? So it
Yeah.
seemed like Jimmy Garoppolo definitely was that kind of guy for this team. And I mean, even still is, like, up to the point that he got hurt this season, right? But like he's been with the team since then. And so I think that just goes to show how this team feels about him. Obviously, hold him in high regard. But one player who's been around even before the Shanahan Lynch era, Jimmy Ward. He's been a staple for this defense for many years. And, he's had his ups and downs, in his 49er career as well. But he's really solidified himself as, one of those blue collar vets, a reliable leader that you can really count on. And I don't know if you were aware of this, AC, but this season he switched from starting at safety to starting at nickel corner. Um, and switching positions, I think, is tough to ask any player to do, and especially a vet who has had a lot of success at their position. And he's also on the last year of his contract, so as a player, I feel like you got to weigh all those things. But do you have any thoughts on that move and just how Jimmy Ward has embraced that new challenge, and he's been playing very well there as of late? So like, what can you tell us about Jimmy Ward and the type of player that he is that would allow him to make that move so seamlessly?
I mean, if you follow Jimmy's career, played corner, played safety.
Hmm.
From safety, he moved to nickel. He actually played some nickel the year that I started, and then they
Yeah.
moved him to corner, and then he moved back to safety. I mean, so Jimmy is like the ultimate team player. He's always been very selfless and hardworking, motivating, and just the absolute person to be around. Like, there's not a dull time with Jimmy. And if you're down, he's going to try to lift you up and try to motivate you. And he's just somebody you want on your team. So there's no doubt in my mind that the Niners are going to give Jimmy every opportunity he can to be a part of that team. And it's just not. It doesn't surprise me that he has made that transition to nickel corner, because I mean, he's done it. He's played everywhere on the defense at this point in
Right.
his career, and I think he's got a lot of life left in his career, and he's a very great player and a great and even better person, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, I, as a fan, like, I really hope that he retires a Niner. I would just love that, just because he's been through it, man, with this team, all the ups and downs, like since before the rebuild, since before this regime, he's seen it all. So I think he deserves to finish his career as a Niner, and I would love that for him and us. But
Absolutely.
uh, so while we're on the topic of defense, though, Robert Sala and also Mike McDaniel, they've gone on to greener pastures. They're head coaches now. And it seems that D'Amico Ryans is next in line for a head coaching opportunity. And he's been coaching his butt off this season, and he's been part of this regime since the beginning as well. So he's worked his way up the ladder. He started as the defensive quality control coach in the 2017 season, and then the year later he became the inside linebackers coach, which he did for a few years before being promoted to defensive coordinator last season. But seeing his coaching approach firsthand, what is it about D'Amico Ryans and or just like him as a person as well that, makes players gravitate to him and want to play hard for him?
I mean, if you just got to turn on the tape. If you turn on the tape and watch any D'Amico Ryans film, like that, the tape speaks for itself. Like he was a great player, and like it's easy to motivate players when you actually stepped on that field and you've been in those trenches and you've been behind those lines and you've made those plays, and it's easy to listen to that. Like it's easy to gravitate towards it. It's easy to like, all right, I'm gonna listen to this because he's done it,
Yeah,
and
right.
it's just so much easier to be coached by somebody that's actually played the game and has actually made the plays, and somebody that's studied, somebody that's grinded, like player, QC, assistant, and now he's that guy. Like now he's the DC. Like he earned it. He earned his stripes, and he started out earning those stripes before he even got in the coaching business.
Right. Yeah. I know that's one loss I think we're really gonna be feeling as 49er fans and maybe even the team. But this team is stacked with like coaches. They're like a head coaching factory at this point. So who knows who will emerge as the next D'Amico Ryans or the next
Yeah.
Robert Saleh for this team. You just never know. But they're so deep with coaches. Getting a couple questions here in the comments. JC here says, how about Gibson play this year? Tashawn Gibson, of course, who's been playing alongside Talanoa Hufanga for this team. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to watch like a lot of 49er games this season, because I know you've been playing with other teams this year as well. So, but if you have been able to see some 49er games, what do you think about the safety group right now?
I think it's a really great safety group. I mean, they complement each other. Hufanga is a baller, like a legitimate baller. Like obviously he did his stuff last year, and then this year he came out hot and earned his names and put his name on the top of the safeties list. And T Gip, I mean, who's been playing the game for a while. Like he's been in the league, he's made his plays, he's been complimentary to Huff's game, and I think they've been really well back there. It's hard to be a bad secondary when you got the best defensive line in the country.
Let's talk about the defensive line real quick, because I mean, you said it is hard. So like, what is it about this defensive line that makes the job so easy for the secondary, besides the obvious answer?
I mean, when the quarterback has 2 seconds to throw the ball, like you can't. There's not many route concepts you can run, and I mean that's a testament to again D'Amico, John, Kyle, for the people that they brought in the building, like Charles Omenihu, one of the pickups that they had last year, I believe, has been a good force. And I mean, obviously getting Street back, and you got Eric, and you got you got the best defensive player in the league, arguably one of the best players in the league in Bosa. I mean, it's a lot. And then you got the great Fred, and then you got Greenlaw, and then you got Aziz. You got a lot of players on that team that are like franchise players, especially on that front seven. So it just makes it a lot easier for those guys on the outside and the guys in the back. And all of those guys are great as well. So I mean, that team is stacked. I love it. I love it for the franchise. I love it for the faithful.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been very entertaining to watch. And Nick Bosa, of course, looks like the defensive player of the year. Would you also agree?
Oh yeah, I just said he was MVP.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at this
I,
point, let's
I
just
would
put
I
him in
would
that conversation
I would
too,
put him in
right?
that
Might as well.
conversation, honestly, like not only defensive player of the year, but MVP as well. Because I mean, you think about that defense without Bosa, and I mean, it's hard.
Yeah. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, don't.
Yes. I was like, no, they're solid, and it all kind of starts with him. As we know, it always starts with the trenches,
Yep.
and they have an awesome, defensive line. And you mentioned Fred Warner too, and these linebackers. So like at every single level, like this defense just has dogs, and they get after it. So yeah, it's been great to see, and hopefully this continues through the playoffs too. I can't imagine that it doesn't. If someone told you that this was one of the best defenses that the NFL has ever seen, would you agree?
Like one of them, yeah, absolutely. One of them, like the best. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
the best, but it's one of them. It's
yeah,
one of the best.
yeah. Okay. I'm there too. I don't want to
It's up
like
there,
the
but
Bears.
yeah, it's up there, but I can't like step on all of the greats that because it ain't a finished product yet. It's not done until that last game is finished,
Exactly.
that championship is raised, and those final stats show.
Yes.
But like they are definitely making their case for sure.
Yeah, because that Bears team, they won it all,
Yeah,
So like it's hard to argue with that, right? So
exactly.
I think they gotta finish the job at this point to be in that conversation. But yeah, they're definitely one of them. But glad you agree, at least with that. Um Look, I gotta ask you about Brock Purdy because being a seventh round pick yourself, you know what it means to get that opportunity, right? And to just want to run with it. And so, what have you seen from Brock Purdy and how he's been able to step up for this team?
I just see him doing his job. He's not trying to do anything out of the scheme, not trying to do anything out of the norm that Kyle is asking for him and what the team is asking of him. And that's all you need. I mean, like you have a well-rounded team, you have a great special teams, you have a great defense, and you have ample ample weapons on offense. So get just manage the game, get the ball to your guys and make the right reads and keys.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of when you have Kyle Shanahan, like calling plays for you.
Yeah,
It's kind not to take anything away from Brock Purdy or Jimmy or any of the quarterbacks I've played in the system, but it does make the job just a tad
it's a little
easier,
bit
right?
easier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just a little
you
bit.
you
But
got you
yeah,
got
just
you got a wizard on the other side of that mic.
right, right. But just the fact that he was the third string quarterback coming into this season, and the 49ers have also just gone from at this point, this is their third quarterback, as I mentioned. Kyle Shanahan, does he deserve to be in the conversation for coach of the year? You think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that every year, but just because of the type of coach he is, like you don't know it until you're actually in that locker room and you're actually around that culture and you see the work that he puts in and you see how he lifts up other guys. Like you don't you can't just go grab a quarterback. Any coach just can't go grab a quarterback off the street, or not even off the street, but just a seventh round quarterback and
Right.
have him thriving in their system. Like it's just not like that. It takes a really good coach and also a really good player too. You can't take anything from Brock because he's a seventh round pick. I mean, I know what that looks like being a seventh round pick, not being given a chance and then an opportunity coming and then you stepping up to the occasion. And
Yeah.
that's what he's doing, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And the guys have rallied behind him, which is exactly what you want because when you're going into the playoffs now, guys have to be able to trust their quarterback to be able to get this job done, right? So I think it's great to see. And Brock Purdy has really just stepped into that role better than or I'm sure a lot of people could have even imagined. So we're really happy to have him leading the team right now. But what do you think is clicking for this 49ers team right now? I mean, they've won 8 in a row.
Everything.
Everything.
Everything,
That's
man. You got Pro Bowlers and all pros on every part of that field, offense, defense, and special teams. And I mean, that's special. Like, I mean, it's hard to beat a team when you're rolling like that.
Yeah. Is there any team in like the NFC or even, a potential Super Bowl contender that you're like, ooh, that could be really tough for the 49ers at this
Kansas
moment?
Kansas City.
Kansas City, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm thinking the same.
I can see a potential rematch. I can see
Yeah.
a potential rematch, like with the way that Pat's playing and those guys over there are playing, like that's what it's looking like.
Yeah, I agree. And man, McKinnon's looking good for them right now. So I'm like,
Hey,
they just unlocked another like uh key of their offense that they can, look to attack other teams with. And so it's unfair. It's unfair. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I could definitely see another rematch. And I think it'd be a lot closer this time, I think. Um so you think they're poised to make a deep playoff run at this point?
oh yeah.
All right. Well, okay. JC here has a great question. I was actually about to ask you this too. If you have to point out a weakness for this Niners team, what would it be?
I cannot like fully answer that because I haven't like really studied or watched as much
Okay,
film
that's fair.
to answer that.
That's fair.
But like from an outside perspective, from how much I've seen, I don't see much.
Okay.
I don't see
Yeah.
many. The only weaknesses that could possibly come, knock on wood, is injuries. We not
Right.
hoping for
Yeah.
those.
That's probably the biggest one for sure. And I
Yeah.
mean, the 49ers have already had their fair share of injuries this season, but I think yeah, we don't even want to think about more of those happening in these next few weeks or just in the playoffs cuz yeah, that for any team, right? For any
Yeah.
playoff team that has
No.
the potential to derail your Super Bowl chances. But I want to talk to you about really quickly, and this will be my last question, unless like people in the comments have more questions for you. But on the topic of player safety, because Tua Tagovailoa, like he's been a huge topic this season, right? Because of the concussions that he suffered, and he has another concussion, so it's brought the topic forward once again. I feel like it's a very important discussion to have, and for players to kind of raise that alarm and say the NFL needs to do a little bit more about this. Not that I want to get you in trouble or anything. I don't know what you could exactly say about that, but you know um do you have any thoughts on like the whole like Tua situation and just like players, because I know as players, like a lot of players just want to play, like
Yeah.
at the moment you're a competitive spirit, like you want to go out there no matter what. And so I think that's the tough part. So what do you think about the Tua situation?
I haven't really been up to date on the current situation, but like in the past, like me personally, because last year I had 2 concussions and I had like a little bit of residual like headaches for about 6 weeks after I'd gotten cleared. And it was scary. And like, yeah, you want to play, but like at the same time, you have to be honest, completely honest with yourself. Like like, excuse my language, fuck the football, fuck the fans at this point. Like, because at right now, like this is your life.
Hmm.
Your life is on the line. You only get one brain. Like you can't recover your brain like you can recover a hamstring strain or a broken leg or something like that. Like once your brain is gone, it's gone. Like, and people have died from concussions and like returning too fast. So I mean, like in um like with the stuff that he had suffered earlier, like yeah, no, like that's scary. Like I like as a if I was a close friend or if I was a um whatever coach trainer, like I wouldn't advise anybody to play like after something like that, like at least for the rest of the year. Like, but that's
Right.
just me. Like I can't tell people what to do. I can only give insight on the things that I've experienced in that space, and that's what I experienced. Like I sat out 6 weeks, like after I got released by the Jets because I had headaches. I went on 5 different visits, and I told every team like, "Hey, I'm still experiencing headaches throughout the week," until I wasn't. And then that was like the last 4 weeks of the season when I signed with Cleveland. But like I take that very seriously because I mean we have one life to live. This is a game, and I'd rather not be selfish in the game that I love over the life that I'll still have to live after I'm done playing. Because I mean, regardless whether you play 10 years, 20 years, you're still 40 or in your 30s when you're done playing. That means you have a lot of life to live. That means you have kids and a family that
Right.
are going to be there and being around you and having to take care of you if you don't take care of yourself right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that, and thank you so much for answering that question, from like your perspective. Yeah, because it is a big topic, and the more we talk about it, I think we bring awareness to like fans as well that this is serious. It is scary, and yeah, I'm always for players doing whatever is best for them. Because at the end of the day, you love football, but it is temporary. But speaking of football, and it being temporary, do you have any thoughts on what you might do after the NFL? Have you thought about that at all?
I've been tapped in. I mean, I'm an investor. I'm part owner of XSET Esports Org. I just created a little golf show that I'm really about to get serious into shooting content this next year. On the links, tap in if you ain't already tapped in. It's gonna go crazy this year. All your favorite players gonna be on the show, and fans will have an opportunity to join us on the links.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, because I saw you got the gamer chair going. I was, I was like,
Yeah.
I know you'll be gaming on that chair. You got any favorite games at the moment?
I really haven't been playing. I stopped playing when I moved. So I moved from Miami in July. So it's been like 6 months since I really got actually active and played. I really just been focusing on ball, and just had my son for 5 months ago. So I mean that's been the main focus is ball and my son. Well, my son coming first.
That's awesome. Well, like, yeah, congrats on your little man and spending that first Christmas with him. I'm sure that was awesome. And thank you so much for coming on the show today. This has been awesome. You're welcome here literally anytime, like seriously. And for all of you guys watching, make sure you like this video if you have not yet. Hit the subscribe button if you have not yet. I appreciate all the love. And thank you once again, Adrian, for coming on the show today. And have a good rest of your like NFL season, and best of luck in your career, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Shout out to 49 Carats and shout out to Steph for having me on. I appreciate you, Faithful, and y'all have a good one. Have a happy new year.
Thanks, guys. Have a good rest of your evening. Peace.